Hey, everybody, welcome to my guest tonight. I'm Jeff Revilla. I've got a great guest tonight. We're talking Dudeism, personal journeys, the Big Lebowski. Let's hear that theme song.
He wears a robe, officiates with flair. At the altar with bent head and zero cares. Ordained by the Church of the Latter-day Dude. He's bringing good vibes and a chill attitude. For Ian Webb, yeah, he's taking the mic with Jeff Revilla on my guest tonight. From 100 hours of silent retreat to saying I do in flip-flop feet. He abides, he vibes, he's our priest in a robe. Tune in tonight and take it slow.
All right, welcome Ian Webb to the show. My guest tonight, Ian, welcome tonight.
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me.
Man, I am so excited about the show. This is one of those things where I had no idea that something existed. And then I find out there's 800,000 of you out there as of the last check. So a lot of what we're going to learn about is based on a movie. Can you tell us about what that movie is and maybe the first time you saw it?
I didn't realize there was a movie. There's a movie? Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's called The Big Lebowski. It's directed by Coen Brothers sometime in the 90s. I want to say like 97 or something like that. Sounds familiar?
97, 98, I think, yeah.
98, okay. Starring Jeff Bridges as the dude. And yeah, it's a good movie. It's a favorite amongst a lot of people who are very similar to that character, the dude, who look at this movie and they think of, oh, that movie, like this guy, this character, this dude, he reminds me of myself. He is me. And so, yeah, it's developed quite a cult following to the point that it's developed its own religion, aka philosophy, which is called Dudeism. And apparently he get ordained as a Dudeist Priest. And I was like, why not? And so I did. And I've officiated 2 weddings because of it. So that was beyond your question. But yeah, it's a movie.
And did you see it at a younger age? Was there something in it that really influenced you or inspired you?
So I saw it, I think about 20 years ago. I was in high school. So about 2004, 2005, my dad showed it to me. He rented it and I enjoyed it. It didn't really speak to me at the time, but it very quickly became one of the best movies I've ever seen. And then I bought it a couple of years later and I was just like watching it all the time. And I was like, I really relate to this character, the dude. And I had friends of mine who were like, dude, you are the dude. And I'm like, yeah. And yeah, so yeah, like high school.
Is there like a scene in the movie that like it's always like your scene? Like every time you see this one part of the movie, you're like, that's just like the greatest moment in cinema history, or or it really resonates.
No, it's nothing like that. I mean, the Coen Brothers are my like top 5 favorite directors. I guess both of them together. But no, like I love like movies like 2001: Space Odyssey is my favorite of all time. But Big Lebowski is like top 5. Cinematically, it's definitely not near the top, like Godfather or Apocalypse Now. So, like it definitely doesn't come close to like the best, but it's just a very well made movie that is just enjoyable. Like you could watch it many times over and it never gets old. So it's just very enjoyable. But I do just relate to the character. I think that the screenwriting is top notch. Like it's one of the best scripts, I think. But yeah.
And after you've seen the movie, have you connected with other friends or other fans that kept pulling you back into this movie, or is there something that you just relate to when you see other people who really even follow the philosophy or just really relate to the character?
I haven't as much. I have met a couple of Walters in my life, and we get along. Like I have an old buddy from high school who he's like the main one who is like, you're the dude. And to him, I'm like, you're a Walter. Like he's kind of an asshole, but for some reason we're friends. And he's like just like not that great, but we get along really well. That's the best I could come up with that. I know we're kind of jumping ahead here, but my buddy Sloan, he just got married and he wanted me to officiate as the Dudeist Priest. He's kind of Dudeist himself. Like he definitely didn't jump far into the philosophy as I did, but I don't know. He was just like he's kind of that similar vibe, pretty much.
And how did you find out about Dudism? And because let's start there. Like, was it just a casual conversation? Are there people that go door to door recruiting? Or how did you come across it?
No, we were way too laid back for that. Like that's a lot of work. I can't really recall, to be honest. It's been a long time. Like it also it doesn't go back 20 years ago as far as my thing into it. I really relate to the character, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm laid back, I'm dude. And then, when people tell me to describe myself to them, I'm like, watch Big Lebowski, and then you got it. But I think of Dudism when I first heard about that. Maybe it was on Reddit or like a Facebook group or something. I really can't say. It was probably about 10, 15 years ago that I heard about it. I really can't recall how, but I did follow a Reddit page and I did follow a Facebook page, and somewhere along those lines, I found out that it's a religion. It's definitely not like people getting together and on like a weekly basis and reading scripture or anything like that. Although there is an annual festival, but that's about it. It's really just a bunch of people who are just like, yeah, we relate to this character. We like bowling and White Russians, and it's about that. That's about the furthest extent to the people go.
It's like a super fan club, really. It's you like the movie, you like the character, you relate to the character, the lifestyle. Is there any kind of like creed or any kind of like way of life that you try to follow because of this?
Yeah, it's it can be kind of similar to Taoism or Buddhism, mostly Taoism, like kind of just going with the flow of the world. Try not, just pretty much, yeah, just go with the flow and try not to get upset about things that are beyond your control. There is a book on Dudism, which is pretty much, it's just Taoism, just kind of changed certain words around, but I haven't gotten that far into it. But yeah, that's about it.
And when you started to get into it, and then you saw there was maybe this other level to it where you could get ordained as a Dudeist priest. What's that process kind of like?
It's gonna. I'm gonna have to disappoint you here. It's nothing like really crazy. So there's a website. I think it's just Dudeist or Dudism.com, and you enter your email address, and bam, you're ordained minister that can legally perform marriages and weddings or funerals or just any other spiritual stuff that you need a priest for. And that's it.
Pretty...
Like the state of Texas, where I live, at least. I mean, many other states, I'm not sure which ones specifically, but at least in Texas, they recognize that, yeah, you can officiate weddings, sure.
Yeah,
just by entering my email address.
With great power comes great responsibility. Like, what are other things that you can do besides weddings? Like, what other powers do you have?
It's funerals. Hold on a second. Sorry. I have my letter of good standing right here.
All right. We're going to the cupboard for those of you listening to the audio. We went into the cupboard. We got a big box out.
Sorry about that. I will mute my. Well, actually,
you're good.
It's too late to mute my mic because I've already got it right here. Okay, so my letter of good standing says, "To whom it may concern, this letter is to certify Reverend Ian Webb as an ordained Dudeist Priest on February 1st, 2015. That's when I signed in my email address to be a member in good standing in the Holy Order of Ministers of the Church of the Latter-day Dude. As a minister, preacher, and official representative of our worldwide faith, we ask that you recognize Reverend's authority to preside over any religious, sacred, or ceremonial ritual, including marriage, funeral services, religious counseling, christenings, and blessings or consecration ceremonies." So
you got the document handy in case of emergency.
Yeah. In case anybody's like, "No, you're not doing this. I don't know who you're trying to fool." And then my certificate is right here. I don't know if that's.
Is there any fee that you have to pay, or is it just an email and you're in?
That's it. I had to pay for my certificate and my letter of good standing, but no, just to sign up, that's totally free.
Yeah. And so, now you have this, you're ordained as a Dudeist priest. And one of the things, I don't know if it was your first goal, but was to officiate your friend's wedding. And that happened, I think, pretty recently.
Recently was the second time. The first time was the same year that I got ordained in 2015. That was, and they were both almost to the month, like 10 years exactly. It wasn't anything I really had a goal set in mind for. It was, I got it and I was like, this is cool. Why not? And then I just told my friends about it. I was like, isn't that cool? And then my best friend happened to get married later on that year, and they asked me to do it for them. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, that's better than best man. Of course I want to do that. And so they just asked me to do that. And then 10 years later, another friend of mine, Sloan, who I mentioned earlier, he asked me to do it. So it's just, I've also been asked 3 other times. They didn't work out. But yeah, nothing I set out to do, but just people asked me to. Yeah, kind of depends on the situation. So like with Sloan, well, with Jake 10 years ago, his fiance was also a really good friend of mine. So I was totally on board for it. We were roommates for a while. I completely agreed with it. So I said, okay. 10 years later, Sloan asked me to. We're both from Austin, Texas. We both moved out. I moved to Houston. He moved to like Wimberley area, which is like small town, 30 minutes south of Austin. And I hadn't met his fiance yet. So I was like, I'll do it, but I have to meet her first, because in order for it to really seem legit, in order for me to, like, I don't want to just go about it and just be like, I don't know this person, I'm just doing it for the hell of it. I want to actually, have it mean something. So I went and I met her, spent the weekend with them, and yeah. Again, that's not really what you asked me, but
are you permitted to charge for your services, or do you just kind of do it out of the goodness? of your heart?
Both of these, I did it for free, just as pretty much as like a wedding present, I guess. I didn't want to charge my friends. I could charge if somebody wanted to offer me money, I'd do it. But one person, it didn't work out because of scheduling issues. They wanted to pay me and a 6-pack of beer. I
Well,
was
how
like,
much? Do
sure,
you remember
why
how
not?
much it cost to get the certificate? You probably broken even, mate, with 2 wedding gifts and a 6-pack of beer.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it was like $15, I think, for the
Yeah.
certificate.
Oh, you're way ahead.
Yeah.
But it is
Also,
fun. Like it's something that it's a fun lifestyle. It's a fun way to just think about things. And if you really relate to the character and you can bring that to other people's lives, that's a good time.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Um, the first one was definitely more serious. They wanted a non-religious wedding, and JQ was like, "You're not gonna come in with a bathrobe or anything." Which, if you haven't seen the movie, he wears a bathrobe, and that's his thing. And most Dudeist weddings, they wear bathrobes. That's just like the sign of the dude, or the cool snazzy jacket that he wears in the movie. But usually a bathrobe. But so that one was serious and heartfelt. This more recent one, they were like, let's have fun with this. And so we were discussing it, and I was like, I'm probably not going to wear a bathrobe. And they were like, no, you need to wear a bathrobe. Like, you have to. And so I did. And that's what I got on right now is my bathrobe. The colors were black and purple. So.
And how is it received? Like if the guests don't know what's happening, and
Yeah.
are there some awkwardness sometimes between the guests and what they're expecting and what they're seeing? Like, this is different than what I've ever been to.
Right. Yeah, I know that's something that I had to mentally prepare for ahead of time. So the first one 10 years ago, again, that was more serious. So I had a suit. It was nothing like that. I was just their friend who officiated them. So other than not religious, it was pretty formal and traditional. For this one, yeah, they were like, you gotta wear a bathrobe, and then I decided on like the loose tie with the unbuttons, and I was wearing shorts and flip flops, and yeah, I was like, people coming, they're gonna have no idea what's going on. I was just like hoping, like, I hope I don't offend anybody. I hope that they're not too weirded out by it. And then but also this is what they wanted me to do for them. So, I'm going to fulfill their wish. This is about them. So, you know, um, I, so yeah, the time came, and Sloan actually just went on Facebook, and he was just like, everybody coming, this is a Dudeist wedding. So just so you know, it's like a Big Lebowski themed, and that let me relax a little bit. I was like, okay, people will now, if they've seen the movie, they'll get it. And so I drive over there, and I'm like, I kind of look ridiculous. And then I get there, and the funny thing is, Sloan's kind of a weird guy. Anna, his now wife, again, I don't really know her that well, but she's a little more on the normal side, I think. Her side was goth, actually. So it was goth dudism. And so it was like people were like dark colors and then like weird on the other side. So it was already a weird wedding and really fun. And then so they see me, and I'm like, people are just going to be like, what is going on with this guy? But like, knowing Sloan, people who didn't know that I was the minister, I didn't get any weird looks. They were like, yeah, this guy belongs here. Not even knowing that I was officiating. I was like, I went from being weirded out that people are going to look at me strangely to I'm weirded out that people are completely accepting me. And then the time came, I go up to the altar. I start going down my spiel. I have, I've got my my script that I'm reading, which is pretty normal, basic ceremony script with, my heartfelt things that I added in, like saying, like how talking about them and how much I appreciate someone's friendship for letting me do this and everything. And they make a great couple. And then I also added all the dude stuff. So like I'm calling them dude. I'm like, hey, Sloan, dude, do you take this chick to like be your special lady and stuff? And do you take this buckaroo to be your special man? And like, do you like repeat after me? With this ring, I put it on your hand, and it symbolizes our marriage. And well, you know what I'm trying to say. And I made them like repeat, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it was just getting laughs the whole time. Like it kind of felt like I was doing stand-up comedy in a way, which Sloan was like pretty much that was what he was going for, what he wanted. And he was like, this is going to be hilarious. And so, yeah, the reception was pretty good. Like everybody seemed to really enjoy it. I think that there were some people who didn't know what was going on, but it was kind of explained to them. And I got lots of compliments after. So like you definitely couldn't do this for most weddings, but for this one, it worked perfectly.
Like in between the ceremony and the reception, are you drinking White Russians or is the open bar?
that was, of course, the goal. That's what I'm supposed to have right now, but the colors don't really. It's kind of dark. I actually put in oat milk instead of half and half, and it is not working out. It's I'm really regretting it, to be honest. But that day there was actually no alcohol allowed, actually, so I couldn't have my White Russian. And I was kind of thinking before I found this out, like, yeah, I would have my White Russian. And I was kind of thinking about doing like the kind of sand thing that they do at ceremonies where they put the two different color sands together and they're like, this represents your married life together. But I would be like, so the Kahlua represents you and the half and half represents you. And you put it together and it makes a great beverage. And I'd like take a sip of the beverage and be like, yeah, this is pretty good. But yeah, they didn't have alcohol there, so I ended up not doing that.
Oh, not too bad. Into the future, looking past these two events that you've done, do you see yourself doing this again? Do you think it could work out for other weddings?
I had a lot of fun doing it, and I would love to do it again. I've only done it for good friends of mine. Only good friends of mine have asked me to do it the other 3 times. Except for one, the one who asked to pay me in beer. That was like more of an acquaintance, but I was like, sure. But to be honest with you, now that like I had so much fun with this last one, I wouldn't mind starting the business doing it. Like getting started would be the hard part, but I've actually kind of looked into it a little bit. Like if anybody listening is from like Central Texas or Houston area, like hit me up. Like I'd be down to do another wedding.
Yeah, don't forget those destination weddings. They'll pay for your travel expense too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody anywhere? Yeah.
Well, I guess flipping a little bit, from the Dudeist Priest, and the Dudism, you went to this retreat. It was like I think it was a 10-day retreat, and you spent 100 hours meditating. What was kind of the twist and turn to going to something like that?
And that was a trip. Yes, 10 days silent meditation retreat. Vipassana was the establishment. It's crazy. Like it's a whole thing. So what it is there's this guy, I think it's HR Grenka. This was back in 2019 that I did this. So parts of it are kind of hazy in my memory. I think I got his name wrong, but he's from India, and he came to the West, and he was really into this Vipassana meditation, which is a specific type of Buddhist meditation where you meditate for hours, like pretty much forever, and you scan down your body, like mentally. You start at your head and you just scan down and you just kind of take note of all the feelings you're having. Like my nose itches, my back's starting to hurt, I'm hungry, and you just kind of like notice it. You take note of it, and you're like, okay, and you don't react. You have like zero reaction to it, and so basically, the idea is to kind of come away of more. What's it called? Just like I'm blanking on the term for it, but you pretty much have no emotional reaction to pain, basically, or happy emotions, really. And some of that I can vibe with. Some of it I turned out I don't quite agree with necessarily. But anyway, he came to the West and he started up all of these retreats. They're 10-day retreats, or you could do a month straight. And yeah, there's some really hardcore people who will go in there for a month at a time and like do 3 consecutive months in a row and stuff like that. But I heard about it. A friend told me that she did it, and I was like, at that point in time, I was kind of doing a lot of soul searching. I was just trying to find out who I am. And I was kind of getting into meditation. I was kind of like becoming one with the universe, or trying to at least. And I just felt myself being called to that. And I was like, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Dudeist, but I'm not a Buddhist. I don't really have any intention to be. But this sounds like really interesting. I think that would be a crazy experience. I think I'd learn a lot about myself. I can explore inner space and just go with it. And so after, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months of mental preparation, I signed up. I didn't just jump to it. It wasn't just like a thing that like, I'm going to do this. Like I actually thought really hard about it. And so I went and I meditated for 100 hours. That's 10 hours a day for 10 days. And yeah, it definitely opened me up to to many mental experiences and thoughts. But to be honest, I was all meditated out of that. Since 2019, since I left that place, I have not meditated once. I'm done. I hit my threshold.
You mentioned there was a time of your life you're trying to find yourself and see who you were, and meditation, finding that inner peace, traveling the galaxy and calming and relaxing. Do you see any parallels between 10 days of meditation and becoming a Dudeist priest, or the Dudism lifestyle?
As I was talking and I did all that, I was saying all that just now. Yeah, I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like what I was just talking about before. And, when I reached out to you, you were looking for guests for this podcast. I was like, I did this thing and I did this thing. And in no way was I even thinking that the two of them were related. I just had that realization like just now as I was saying that. So it's funny that you pointed it out as well.
Well, I have like 7 pages of notes on you. I do a lot of thorough research, and I like to draw these or thread these lines through the storylines. And that was one I was like, there's some similarities here that I think maybe there's some overlap. And I'd like to, just kind of explore and see what you think. But you think you got to this, that's the way you see it now too, which is really cool.
Yeah. The thing about me is what I like to tell people is I'm very full of shit, and I'm not full of myself. I'm full of shit, but I'm not full of myself. And like, I don't take myself too seriously. And I'm not like, this leads to this thing, changed my life. It, took me to this thing. I'm just going with the flow. I'm just, I'll do what sounds good. And both of those things sounded good. And yeah, they do seem to philosophically be pretty similar.
Well, I got one final question, and it's about me. And
Okay.
if there's anything I like doing, is talking about myself. But about 3 or 4 years ago, I created a religion. This is a true story, and I wanted to develop it, but I never knew what to do. Maybe you can help me or push me in the right direction. It's called the Church of Be Excellent to Each Other. It's based on the teachings of Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan.
Yeah.
And I have a 10 commandments written out. I could show you. But there's one rule to the church. It's just be excellent to each other. And when I start telling people about it in the 10 commandments, and I usually get a pretty positive reaction. So do you think this is something maybe I should pursue, or do you think I could get, I don't even know what you would call the type of priest that would be excellent to each other, but it's as simple as being a Dudeist. I'm not taking away from Dudeism, but the only rule to the church to be excellent to each other is you just have to be excellent to each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the same with Dudeism is more like, I guess, personal. Like, just take it easy, man. And Bill and Ted be excellent to each other is more outward to your fellow human. Like, be excellent to each other, and be excellent to yourself. So, like, they're like separate but equal in a way.
We could merge the two worlds. Absolutely. And the world will never be the same again.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, this has been a ton of fun. Thank you so much for joining me on my guest tonight. If people want to connect with you, find you, get you to officiate their weddings, how can people connect with you?
They can't. That's the interesting part. I don't have Instagram, or definitely not X or any of that. I have Facebook. You could try to find me on Ian Webb on Facebook. I guess that would be the difficult part.
Like in the case of this interview, I didn't find you. You found me. So maybe that's how you get in touch with Ian. He'll find you.
Yeah, exactly. Just like let the universe just do the work, and you just have to trust the process.
Ian, thank you so much. We're going to send it out one more time with the theme song. Here we go.
He wears a robe, officiates with flair, at the altar with bared head and zero cares. Ordained by the Church of the Latter-day Dude. He's bringing good vibes and a chill attitude. For Ian Webb, he's taking the mic with Jeff Revilla on My Guest Tonight. From 100 hours of silent retreat to saying I do in flip-flop feet. He's our priest in a robe. Tune in tonight and take it slow.